What is training the dark side? Training the dark side, in my opinion, is an evolution in the approach to training.
Is there a specific distance or sport that dark side training works best for?
Is there a specific distance or sport where training the dark side is most beneficial? No, I don't believe there is. Training the dark side is a concept of training. It's not a dictum. It's not teaching you to follow a particular script. It's guiding you to allow you to take into account the way your body responds. At the same time, it's fortified with science so that you can take advantage of the energy systems rather than avoiding being too toxic because you're going into anaerobic metabolism or being too sedate by staying aerobic for too long a time. It gives you the freedom to allow your body to be involved in the decision-making processes in your training. Traditional training is very segmented, and so what you're relying on is later into your training is where the intensity is going to reside, and you're hoping that that's going to carry you through. When you're training the dark side, the intensity and the race type training is omnipresent. It's always in your training. It's just controlled in the amount of time spent at those various intensities. So the difference is in how training would be segmented in a traditional fashion, where training the dark side, there's a lot of opportunity to express yourself. How would I define skill as it relates to training the dark side as a modality? Well, first of all, I think that in most traditional running programs, actual skill is left out. There's very few opportunities to actually focus very specifically on how you move. A golfer wouldn't think to go out and golf without spending time working on the way he's going to hit the ball. But oftentimes runners will just simply go out and run with no regard to the way they move. In the training the dark side, I include skill work because to me, it's the first step in your training. And it's something that should be visited all through your training. You want to ensure that the way you move is correct, minimizing the cost of work, maximizing efficiency, and then through this, you'll start to notice the cost and your capacity to produce work is always going to be optimal, where in most traditional programs, it's not even a consideration. In training the dark side, we identify the importance of actually honing our skills over time. It's not something we do today and we leave aside tomorrow. It's something we do every single workout. We focus on the way we move first, and then we start concerning ourselves with the intensity and the volume. It's taken me countless years to get to this place, and it became so logical to me. And experiencing it with athletes that I've been coaching for years, introducing it to them, it's been a game changer. They're finding they're able to produce more work, they're more rested, they're able to perform at a greater rate, and they are now finally more involved with the way their body responds to the work. There's an elevated perception in their relationship with the way their body responds to work. Your mama identifies the dark side is the shit, the shizzle. So Blue, I've known you for longer than a decade. and you've always been, for the most part, a traditional runner, very successful. And I introduce you to the dark side, which you've been training exclusively for the past month. What's been your experience? What's the difference between this versus most traditional training programs?
Well, first of all, I was just super fired up with the idea, something such a that I consider to be a game changer. Just the concept was so, it just instantly blew me away. So I was really excited to try it. Now, like you said, after a month of training, blown away by the overall energy. I'm like, every day I feel like it, and I hadn't done any anaerobic training for really months before doing this. Maybe a trail run here and there, but I really wasn't doing anaerobic training. So I jumped full on in, and the percentages have been at least 10% of my total volume of running have been anaerobic. So the first week I did this type of training, I was an hour of anaerobic training compared to the week before of none, right? But I wasn't tired, which was interesting to me.
Let me understand this. Now, what you're suggesting to me is that since you've changed and you've been following this new training paradigm, allowing yourself to become anaerobic when the mood strikes you, the length of time that you stay there when the mood strikes you has been more qualitative. So you're starting to notice that your energy levels are higher, your recovery is better, you're able to produce more work.
Yes, and I don't feel like there's it's less daunting, because I know every day I'm gonna visit the systems, as you put it, but I don't have any sort of preset expectation for. I mean, maybe I have some where I know I want to, maybe I'm feeling good that day, so I want to push a little bit more on the amount of anaerobic volume, but I do let I let it dictate itself when I'm in the moment. So if I feel like if I'm in minute 2 and I'm pushing up a hill, and I see there's a little bit more hill and I can get another minute out of it, and I feel like I can get that minute, I'm going there now. Whereas that typically, like when I get to the top of the set interval, I'm now successful, I've completed, and I would shut it down no matter what. So this has opened up my relationship with how I look at any set interval of high intensity.
So the question I might have that I think a lot of people would like an answer to is that now that you've made that shift, do you feel like it's something that you're going to try for a while and then would just fall back into the way you've trained before? Or do you feel like this is kind of a new lease on life?
It's crazy. I mean, if you think about how long I've run and how many years I've done traditional methods, which I didn't consider traditional until, a month ago. It's one of those things that's like, is this the new fancy toy that you're playing with, and like in 6 months you're going to be done? I can tell you, it might be my multi-sport background. Before I got into running, I was always athletic, and I love being able to. I love to be a jack of all trades. I love to be able to like climb up a cliff and swim across a lake and go surfing and go snowboard, whatever it was. And as a runner, I've missed that sort of well-rounded, type of fitness, and I feel like I lost it. I've known that I lost it. This is giving me that back, and I'm not really changing the running, the types of running I'm doing. It's just how much of the different ingredients and when I'm doing them. So every day I work on my skill. Every day I run hard and fast.
So the reference you made of how you like to run, swim, ski, climb a mountain, whatever, all of those things take various challenges over your energy system. And the dark side is exactly that. So you're actually using the same type of modalities of energy in the dark side as you might, taking advantage of all those other things that you enjoy.
100%.
So
I feel like I'm getting back to that athlete that used to be in me, and it's not an age thing. I used to think like I'm 40 years old, I'm getting older, and now I can tell you it's definitely not the age thing, because I'm back to that versatile athlete.
Yeah. So on the same thread, let me just share this with you. People that have raced that were on script, traditional script, competing, blue takes off, now I'm having to respond to you. My training hasn't allowed me to have that in my quiver. I don't know how to handle somebody going out hot early. I don't know how to handle somebody going hot in the midway. I may have been tapped out of my endurance because you're dictating my effort. With training the dark side, none of those elements are ever left off the table, so you're prepared for war every stinking time that you race.
I would never do that before, because
Right.
it's not in the plan. You don't train that way.
Because you don't trust that you can do it.
100%.
And you don't trust it because you've not done it. Where in this case, you're always prepared. You can always have that extra gear whenever you need it.
And that's also the mindset part that I'm noticing. always sort of, I'm even hungry now to give it a little try. And I'm talking every day, I'm hungry. I feel like it's part of this idea that you're visiting every different intensity every time you do the work, every time you do a workout, every time you run. I think that's part of it, but it's the relationship with yourself as an athlete that you're always just sort of, you're just checking in with yourself, and not just checking in. It's like this little test every day of like, how am I doing today?
Validating.
Yeah. And I'm hungry. Like I've had probably, my PR in the marathon was 2014. It's 2022. 2022.
Working on it.
And I have been without passion for a couple of years. I love running, but I have not wanted to test myself. I've been scared of the 5K and the 10K and the shorter distances. Now I'm like, bring it on, let's do this. So it's given me a new lease on my running,
We've called it many times the game changer.
Absolutely game changer.